welcome back. Welcome to yet another new chapter of social studies. So let us begin. All of you take out your standard 4 prescribed textbook, chapter 13. I hope you all are understanding what I am teaching, going through the videos, going through the chapter thoroughly, and study well. Unit tests are over, and this is the preparation for your half yearly. And in half yearly you may be getting the descriptive type of questions to write question and answer. So be prepared, study thoroughly and daily. So it's not that when your half yearly exam will be declared and you can study in one day. So bit by bit study daily. And let us begin with chapter 13, our major industries. Today we are going to learn about industry. Just imagine in the beginning of the chapter we started with civilization, how an early man became domesticated, how he started to have a settled life, then how did it develop. We then read about various aspects of farming and soils, minerals, everything we studied. And from the early ancient ages, in your walking by the chapters of your social studies textbook, step by step, today we have stepped to the chapter of major industries, or we are coming towards industrialization. So let us begin with the chapter. Here, what is an industry and what is the need of an industry? We will study about that. Children, in this chapter I am going to teach you about industries. When man in the earlier form of man on earth was that of early man. Early man gathered food and roots and all, and then in due course his scientific abilities developed, and finally to comfort himself, human beings they stepped ahead and industrialization took place. Industries were set up. Industries, the main purpose of industries was to manufacture various things for the comfort of human being. These industries manufactured from pin to aircraft. These industries, they make automobiles, they make home appliances, they make television sets, they make sewing machines, they make various gadgets which is helpful for various other industries. These industries make machinery for other industries too, and thus industrialization took place. In the pollution chapter, I taught you the other aspect of industrialization which caused a lot of pollution. But in present, we are going to read about what are industries, what are the capacities of industries, and what are the requirements of industries. In the later part of the video or the later part of the chapter, we'll read that an industry requires raw material, manpower, money, setup, and transportation, etc. to function properly. The raw material is the thing which we put in, it is the input, and like jute for a sack factory, sugarcane for a sugar factory, like leather for a tannery, like iron ore for a iron and steel factory. So these are the raw materials. Next is transportation. These things they don't walk and come to the industry. They come either by trains, they come either by railways, they either come by roadways or by waterways, by ship. So the things which are transported to the factory is known as transportation. After the processing, the output or the finished product is sent out. Again, their transportation is required. The third thing is setup. Setup means installation of machinery to carry on all these processes. The big, huge machines which do the refining, suppose it is textile machine, that machines they do weaving and they do that grading, sorting, all sorts of machines are installed. And setup includes a wide battery of people who manage these industries. It is setup. And then the manpower. Manpower is the whole set of persons who work from the cleaner to the worker to the manager to the accountant to the GM to the CEO, all include in the manpower. The persons, the huge number, thousands of persons, they include and they run a industry. The other factor of industrialization is money. Nothing is possible without money. A huge amount of funds, a huge amount of money is invested in making industries. Regarding of which category of industry it is. So money is an important factor. And then the other source is the other and the next category is machinery, because to process the raw material to the finished product, machines are required, and these machines are huge machines which, as per the requirement of the industry, like iron and steel factory, it has a big machine, it has a lot of big machines. Like sugar factories, a lot of big machines, textile mills have a lot of big machines, and so on. Now, in the later part of the video, we will be knowing about the categorization of the industries. Industries are categorized on the structure and setup. It is basically categorized into three categories. First is cottage industry, then small scale industry, and then large scale industry. Cottage industries include that of poultry farms, that of papad making, that of agarbatti making, embroidery, and small handlooms. These are cottage industries, because in these industries, what happens? A small number of people are engaged, a small amount of money is invested, and nearly no machines are used. So no, and transportation is very less. The bringing in of raw materials and sending out of output is very less. In the small scale industries mostly which make plastic products, which make electrical goods, which make auto spare parts and all, which make small machines, toys and all. These are small scale industries. They employ 10 to 20 workers, and in small amount of workers, and little their investment money is little more than that of cottage industry, and thus the output is little more than cottage industry. That is known as small scale industry. But large scale industry stands on acres and acres of land, on hundreds of acres of land. It is a mini town in itself. The industry is a mini town in itself, with huge big machines, size of hills and mountains are installed in these large scale industries, and thousands of people work here, and it is a I told you, a town in itself, with a large amount of raw materials which is brought in by transportation, and large amount of output products or the finished product is transported. It is not only supplied throughout India, it is also exported to foreign countries. And industries also are categorized on the basis of raw materials also. Some industries are agro-based, agricultural products are processed there. Some are marine-based, marine animals, fish, crab, prawns are basically related to food processing industries, are processing in marine products. Mineral-based factories are there, mineral-based industries like processing aluminium, processing iron. These are mineral-based. It's a petroleum refinery. These are mineral-based. And it is forest-based industries are also there. Forest products like lac and gums, resins, essential oils are processed in these industries. So they are forest-based industries. So come children, let us get a complete insight of industry and how it is the backbone of the economy. So children, today we will discuss what are the basic requirements to set up an industry. How can an industry be made? What are the basic requirements? So, the basic requirement is raw materials, machinery, setup, manpower, transportation and money. Without, if any one of these things is absent, you cannot set up an industry. Now what is raw material? Raw material is, the input what you are using in the factory, what you are using in the industry. Suppose you are having a sugar factory. So sugar cannot be made from mud or cannot be made from soil or plastic. To make sugar, you have to purchase the sugar cane from the farmers. Sugar cane is the raw material here. For plastic products, you have to use plastic. For jute bags, to make jute bags and all, you have to use jute as raw material. For an iron and steel factory, you have to use iron ore as raw materials. For aluminium factory, you have to use bauxite. These ores come, they are refined, they are just refined, and then metal is extracted, and then it is melted in the factory, and then it is shaped up into sheets, rods, wires, rolls, etc., and then it is sent to the various various other companies who make different aluminium or iron products. Now our second factor of setting up an industry is machinery. Without machinery, you cannot set up an industry. In TV also you must have seen, and I am going to attach in this video, that how machineries they shape up. In the earlier videos also, in the mineral chapter also I have sent you how the machineries work, how when the iron ore is put on the conveyor belt, how the machinery takes up and then it is refined, and how it shaped. You just imagine that the bauxite is in form of soil and it is loaded on the trucks and wagons. It reaches the factories, and final shape of that bauxite, which is in the shape of mud, you see it in the forms of cars, vehicles, aircrafts, etc., utensils. Just imagine, and that is the role of machinery, is to shape up, is to process the whole the minerals and to give it a shape. Our next one is setup. Setup means to arrange the machineries, to install it, where to keep the machinery, to install it in the process wise. Now you must have seen in television and all, now big boilers are there, then big pipelines are there, from there it goes, and then it goes to another big drum, from there it goes to another plant. All that installation and the maintenance, somewhere you will see mechanics are there, somewhere you will see technicians are there, engineers are there, you will see various people, they are working on the panel, the keyboard and all, panel board and all, just the system, they are making the system to work. There are many workers who just they see that the factory, the machines are running smoothly. And then there are the management team who, as the trucks bring the raw materials, how many trucks of raw materials have come, then from there where it is unloaded, then the other technicians who see that how it is extracted, and then from the input method till the output. The people who manage the industries, they include in this setup. They see that the factory or industry is smoothly run. Next is manpower. Without manpower, no industry will work. You have installed the machineries worth crores and crores, billions and millions of rupees. You have installed it. A big land is purchased and you have installed machinery, setup is ready, but the persons who work it, at each machinery you will see 2 or 3 persons, technicians will be standing there and working. They are known as the manpower. The people who work, the workers. It is not only the workers, from the topmost, from the general manager, from the GM, from the CEO, from the clerks, from the registrars who maintain, the field officers who work, the purchase and marketing department people, the workers who manufacture, the cleaners, from the total person who work in an industry, they comprise of the manpower. Then transportation. Transportation is an important aspect of an industry. The raw materials, they reach the factory through 2 modes or 3 modes. The raw materials reach through roadways, through trains, by wagons, through ships, they reach the factories. And then, after being processed, the finished product, the output, the finished product is then again transported. Just imagine that the farmers, they bring in the sugar canes, they bring in sugar canes in tractors and trucks to the factory. And after the total sugar cane is processed and it is converted into sugar, then the sugar bags are transported again and exported and distributed throughout the country through roadways, through trains, and it's exported by ships. So transportation is an important medium of important part of setting up an industry. Now, money is the root cause of everything. You cannot plant a brick, you cannot just set up a brick without money. All this setup what I have mentioned needs money. And it is not 100 rupees or 200 rupees. Billions and billions of rupees is invested. Just you imagine, you have to pay for the raw material, you have to pay to the transport, you have to pay to the workers, you have to pay to the setup, you have to pay the rent, you have to buy the land, you have to even to sell the output, you have to send it by transportation. Each and everything required. And finally, your product should be known to everyone. For advertisement purposes, to make it known, to make it a famous product, you need to highlight your product. For that reason, money is spent. Money is the main essential factor of setting up an industry.
Any material that is needed for the final product is called the raw material. It can come from plants, animals, or the soil. For example, sunflower oil industry needs the seeds of sunflower. The earth itself supplies iron ore to the iron and steel industry. The cheese making factory needs milk from animals as raw materials. India's first iron and steel industry was started in 1870 at Kutli in West Bengal. Depending on the industry, there are various kinds of machines that are needed to convert the raw materials into finished goods. Setup includes the installation of machinery and also an office to manage it. The machinery needs either electricity to run or thermal power from coal, oil, or burning gas, or nuclear power plant from atomic plants. This is also a part of the setup. In order to run an industry, people are also required. They are known as manpower, which includes engineers, laborers, and office workers. All are needed to smoothly run the industry. Industries need various modes of transport to transport the raw materials and the finished goods to the sellers and buyers and users. Money is required for all the mentioned needs of an industry. The amount of money depends on the size of the industry.
So children, industries can be categorized in different ways. First, the raw materials are used. So industries can be categorized by the variety of raw materials they use. Now, first agro-based. Agro-based means agricultural products based. It includes like sugar cane, like jute, like paddy, like groundnut, oil seeds company. These companies or factories are dependent on agricultural products, because if jute will come, jute is cultivated and jute is farmed by the farmers, then only these companies can produce jute based products. If sugarcane is produced in ample by farmers, then only sugar will be produced. If the oil seeds are manufactured, oil seeds are produced or they are farmed in ample, then only, if suppose oil seed cultivation is done in bumper, oil seed crop cultivation is done, then the price of oil, edible oils will come down. So agro based means agricultural products based. Now mineral based, iron ore, bauxite, copper ore, and all this various minerals like petroleum. All these things are used in mineral based factories, where the minerals, the coal is processed, and it is processed into different varieties of coke, peat. All these things are processed. So petroleum is processed into kerosene, petrol, diesel, and all, paraffin wax and all. So these are known as mineral based industries. Forest based industries means we have various products like lac, we have rubber. Rubber is, it will go into agro also, forest based also. We have various essences, oils, herbs, trees, which are used in factories to prepare medicines. It is used, the forest based, suppose wood cutting is illegal, but the government permits some persons to grow teak, sandalwood, mahogany, rosewood and all, to grow them and then cut it and process it, because these people, they when they grow this woods and all, before cutting they have to plant the same amount of trees. So they are permitted by the government, they seek the permission by the government and then use. So various wood products are there from trees. And leaves, you must be knowing that the leaves are sent to various cities for making the BDs and all. So it is forest based and all, forest based product. Marine based means the trawlers, they go into sea or into the rivers. The ships and all, they go to the sea and rivers. There they catch the fish and the prawns, crabs and all, and these things are processed. This comes in food processing industry. It is processed and then exported. It is tinned and canned and exported to various countries, and even supplied throughout India, especially to the defense forces. It is supplied to the defense forces and various canteens. It goes to various hospitals and all. So marine based products means basically it is related to the food processing industries. The next category of differentiating or categorizing industries is cottage industries, small scale industries and large scale industries. These three industries are categorized on the basis of their employment of manpower, how much money they invest and what is the output, how much of products they make. It is categorized on that basis. Cottage industries, just I will give you some example of cottage industries. Cottage industries are like agarbatti industries, like papad industry. So you can just imagine that the masala industry, spice industries and all, mostly they can engage up to 50 or 100 persons to make their products. Especially they do not engage heavy machinery, and there is it does not have a big infrastructure, or does not have a big industry with a big shed and factory, and it's not like that. A small space and with fewer persons and with less amount of money, anyone can start cottage industry. That is cottage industry. Now small scale industry is the industries, especially they have a little considerable amount of money is invested. Consider it up to rupees 1 lakh to 1 crore or 2 crores and all. Especially, I will give you examples of cottage small scale industries. It is like bucket making industry, plastic industry, mineral water industry, and like industries like small making utensils and cycle parts and all, and this vehicular parts and all. These are small scale industries. Especially they engage mostly near about 100 to 150 workers and all. Very small amount of workers work there, and then the output is not very much high. It is not like that. Just these small scale industries cater the needs of their local people, especially 1 or 2 states. They just meet the needs of these people. Now coming back to the large scale industries. These industries, firstly, to set up these industries, they need hundreds of acres of land. The industry is not just on a small plot, or you can just turn your face and you can see an industry. Large scale industries is a big, huge plant. And then to run this industry, nearly thousands and thousands of people are employed there. That is the manpower. And the investment, the money invested in these large scale industries are billions and billions of rupees. And this is not the entity of a single person. A single person cannot invest a huge amount of money. Nearly it is run by a board or trust, mostly comprising of many people. And then the machineries are just huge. It's a size of mountain. Giant machines and giant machineries installed in these companies, and then the output too, the raw materials which is put in these industries. Nearly whole of the town, state, they are dependent on this industry. Suppose just imagine a sugar factory is there. So it is a boon for the farmers of that area. Now when a sugar factory is set up in some place, especially sugar factories are ample in Uttar Pradesh, because Uttar Pradesh is very much fertile and very much well known for sugar cane cultivation. So the farmers from nearby, they take their cultivation to the factories. They get nice money there. And then these factories require sugar cane, farmers require to sell their product. After selling, when the factories purchase this, then it is processed in the large scale industries. And then the sugar is transported in wagons by trains, which has hundreds of wagons, and it is supplied throughout India and even exported. And it is not a business of 1 or 2 person. These industries engage a lot of people, and thus it is known as large scale industries. These large scale industries, they rank in the stock exchanges and all, which you will read in the higher classes. But now you know that as per the capacity, the industries are categorized in three categories. It is cottage industry, small scale industry, and large scale industry.
If the raw materials used by the industry is from the plants and big and small animals, then it's an agro-based industry. For example, jute and silk textile, oil products, leather shoes, etc. The raw materials needed by the industry is directly available from the earth, then it is mineral based. For example, iron and steel, gold, precious stones, coal, cement industry, etc. As the name suggests, the raw materials for this industry comes from the forest. For example, paper, furniture, plywood, sports equipments like ball, wickets, hockey sticks, etc. are all forest products. These industries use sea and ocean produce as raw materials. Seafood and animal oil industries are examples of marine based industries. Cottage industries keep our tradition and culture alive. They do not use modern methods and require little finance to run it. Few people are needed to run a cottage industry. Examples are pottery, basket making, silk weaving, handloom items, embroidery, and handicrafts, etc. Light or small scale industry. They are larger than cotton industries. However, these industries need less finance and machinery compared to large ones. They need more people than a cottage industry in order to run it smoothly. For example, electrical goods, plastic items, heavy or large scale industry need huge finance and employ many workers. Some parts of the work may be fully automated and some can be mechanical in operation. The production capacity also is large. For example, cars, railway coach manufacturing industry, shipbuilding, oil refinery, etc. India has many major industries. In the adjoint table, you can find few of them mentioned along with the respective locations. India ranks number 1 in raw jute production. See the snippets. In the snippets, we can find that India is the largest producer of sugar in the world. The first paper industry was set up at Srirampur in West Bengal.